Thursday, September 16. This is the news on PBCJ. I'm Gabrielle Thompson. New curfew hours have been announced effective this weekend. Prime Minister Andrew Holness made the announcement while speaking in Parliament on Wednesday. He said there will be no more weekday no movement days except on National Heroes Day on Monday, October 18, 2021. Simone Absalom Gale has that story.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness says weekday lockdowns are not sustainable. He told parliamentarians that there would have to be a significant event in terms of a massive outbreak to merit a return to the multi-day lockdowns.
Lockdowns are restrictions of last resort. They are measures of last resort. We don't want to do them. We don't like to do them. But they are the measures that work when we are in the grips of a spike in the pandemic, where, as we have shown earlier, the number of persons seeking hospital treatment far exceeds the number of beds that we have. Madam Speaker, if every Jamaican were to take personal responsibility in their conduct, we would not need lockdowns. If every Jamaican were to wear the mask faithfully and consistently and appropriately, if every Jamaican were to recognize the importance of maintaining some physical distance, were to recognize the importance of sanitization, were to recognize the importance that if you are ill with any respiratory-like symptoms, you're not sure, stay away from the rest of the population, get tested before you go out and start to mix about. If every Jamaican were to do this, the R0, the reproductive rate of the virus, would go down.
The Prime Minister says while other measures under the Disaster Risk Management Act would remain in place, the curfew hours will be adjusted.
Effective from Sunday, September 18th, the curfew hours will be as follows. Mondays to Fridays from 8 p.m. nightly to 5 a.m. the following morning. Let me repeat, on Mondays to Fridays from 8 p.m. nightly to 5 a.m. the following morning. On Saturdays, the curfew will commence at 6 p.m. and continue all day. It starts at 6 p.m. and continues for the rest of the day, Saturday, to 5 a.m. Now, bear in mind, Sunday is a no movement day. Right. So I want to read it carefully so everybody understands. So on Saturday, technically the curfew begins at 6 p.m. on Saturday. But it will continue throughout Sunday to 5 a.m. on Monday. All right? So Sunday is a no movement day.
He says only 20 family members, mourners, and the clergy can attend funeral services. Burials are allowed from Monday to Friday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. with only 15 persons involved. Mr. Holness shared data showing an uptick in persons getting COVID-19 vaccines. However, he's urging more Jamaicans to take the jab.
As of yesterday, we had administered 686,829 doses of vaccines. 686,829 doses of vaccines. I am certain that we have crossed the 700,000 mark today. 478,660 were first doses. 191,009 were second doses, and 17,160 were doses of the Johnson & Johnson single-dose vaccine.
The Prime Minister says the government is still far from attaining its goal of 65% of the population being vaccinated by March 2022. For the news on PBCJ, I'm Simone Absalom Gill.
73,880 students have been vaccinated against COVID-19. Speaking in Parliament this week, Education Minister Favour Williams said of that number, some 22,000 students have received both doses. The government started offering the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine last month to children 12 years and older. The government has since discontinued the distribution of the Pfizer vaccines in an effort to facilitate persons in need of their second dose. On the other hand, Mrs. Williams is urging principals, teachers, students, administrative and ancillary staff, as well as parents, to get vaccinated.
We continue to urge principals, teachers, students, administrative and auxiliary staff, as well as parents, to get vaccinated. We're again appealing to everyone to wear masks, wash your hands or sanitize frequently, and practice physical distancing. These protocols, together with the added layer of protection that vaccinations provide, are Jamaica's best tools for significantly reducing the spread of the COVID-19 virus, decreasing hospitalizations, and getting our students back into the face-to-face classes. Administrators, teachers, and auxiliary staff in the public education sector who are working in the school environment with our early childhood, infant, and primary level children are strongly encouraged to be vaccinated.
Lockdowns, no movement days, limited social gatherings, curfews. These have become staples as the country contends with the COVID-19 pandemic. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the government's strategy in managing the pandemic has been to not use hardline enforcement, but to foster voluntary compliance from the public. To that end, he says Wednesday's resignation of Agriculture and Fisheries Minister Floyd Green over a viral video at a get-together on a reported no movement day was necessary.
The society in which we live in is one where the fault lines surround social justice, the rule of law, and equality under the law. For us to properly manage this pandemic, enforcement is not the tool. We don't have the resources to enforce on every single Jamaican. We manage this pandemic because we have managed to build tremendous social capital. We have managed to get the people on board to follow the protocols, to follow the orders under the DRMA. So we have not relied heavily on enforcement. We have relied on the trust and confidence of the people in voluntary compliance. And to a large degree, most Jamaicans have complied to some extent. If there is any break in that synergy between the executive authority giving the mandates, the orders under the DRMA, and the confidence that we ourselves are not just preaching, but doing what we are preaching. If there's a break in that, and people start to feel that we are saying one thing, but doing another, then the level of voluntary compliance will fall. And it will become difficult to manage the pandemic in the way which we have done, which is by getting public support, by and large, behind the measures.
Mr. Holness said that ministers must exemplify the law and should not create double standards in the country.
I think Minister Green recognized this, that it was important that ministers exemplify the law, and what he did is admirable in offering his resignation, and indeed there was no option other than to, you know, it was the right thing, and he did the right thing. You know, it is a loss for the cabinet.
What will be next for Floyd Green?
Minister Green shows great potential, and a part of our discussion was how we could utilize the experience that he would have gained in government in other areas, because, you know, everybody, you know, our society is one where forgiveness is part of our you know, our ethos, our outlook, and Minister Green would have the opportunity to work in other areas. We'll finalize that later on today as to where else we could utilize his talents and the experience that he has gained. I'm really very sorry that this has happened.
What took center stage at the JCF's press conference was the pandemic of violence affecting Jamaica and how to eliminate it. Mylon Samuels has more in this report.
The level of violent crime in Jamaica since the start of the year has increased. So says Police Commissioner Major General Anthony Anderson.
This year, we have seen a 10.5% increase as of Monday. We've seen a 1.7% increase in shootings over last year. But let me break it down a little, in a little more detail. We have, and we're talking about up to Monday morning. So, of the 991 murders recorded this year so far, 72% of them, or 714 of them, have been attributed directly to gang conflicts. What we're seeing as a feature of these conflicts is that gangsters are more willing now to, if they can't get the person they're after, i.e. their rival, they will go after the family and associates of these gangsters, and go after all of them collectively. This has been particularly acute in the lower part of St. Andrew and Kingston, in Clarendon more recently, Westmoreland, and earlier in the year in St. James.
Interpersonal relationships and domestic violence accounts for 19% or 189 murders. Among the problems feeding the crime pandemic is the role of persons who are aware of but remain silent about criminals and their activities.
So I'm going to just speak a little bit about this case, this quadruple murder in Clarendon. So we have 4 people dead, 2 women, 2 men. 2 male, 2 female. In one incident on the same weekend. This arose out of a murder that occurred, was it a week, 2 weeks before? About a week prior. The person involved in that, the shooter in that incident, shot somebody who is related to a person who is influential in the underworld. That person who is influential is incarcerated. From prison, the order comes to reprise that killing, to carry out a reprisal shooting and killing of the person who did the first murder. Our intelligence service, our National Intelligence Bureau, working with divisional intelligence assets, became aware of this. So we carried out operations in Clarendon at the same premises to capture the person who was involved in the first murder. We didn't get him. We were met with some degree of hostility from the family of that perpetrator. We advised them that they are at risk from the information and intelligence that we had gathered, and asked that he turn himself into us so that we could take him into our process to deal with the initial crime. Didn't happen. So 1 week later, the two sisters of that individual, the one we are looking for, and two other people who are at the house were killed in a quadruple murder, because the order had gone out and the order was executed. That's what our intelligence is saying. But we still have work to do. Following on that shooting, we arrested 4 people, I think it was. We have 6 people. We arrested 6 people. I think probably 4 of them remain in custody. Because very swiftly, and this has been a feature in recent times, after these events occur, the police response is very swift. Our intelligence has been supporting us. Our use of technology has been supporting us significantly in getting this done. The problem is that this horrific murder, quadruple murder, has occurred already. It has occurred already. So there is a lesson here as well. No longer can the persons who are harboring gangsters, who are protecting them, do so without putting themselves at great risk. At great risk.
The police commissioner says, in the majority of the cases, guns are the tools of death, holding Jamaica in a stranglehold for more than 20 years. In fact, since the start of the year, guns were used in 85% of the murders committed. He's calling for new measures to deal with the persistent gun problem in Jamaica.
The question is, can this problem that has persisted for years be solved? Absolutely it can. But it's unlikely to be solved if we keep doing the same things that we've been doing for 2 decades. And any discussion at all, that says this was good, that was bad, this is a nonsense discussion when we have been consistently over 1,000 of our people being killed per year. So whatever the regime is, whatever the system is, whatever the laws are, whatever the arrangements are, if they do not assist us in protecting our people from murder, new arrangements are necessary. New laws are necessary. New structures are necessary. It cannot be that we just have this pandemic going and it doesn't really, nothing changes.
For the news on PBCJ, I am Marlon Samuels.
To see the full press conference, including the question and answer section, please go to PBCJ's Facebook and YouTube pages. We now take a look at the latest shifts and movements in the financial markets in this quick business report. According to the latest ex-refinery costs from Petrojam, motorists should pay less at the pumps for gasoline and diesel effective Thursday, September 16. 87 and 90 octane gasoline will be sold for $152.29 and $158.21 per liter, respectively down by $1.45 and $1.66. Automotive diesel fuel saw a price drop of $1.77 and will be sold for $145.22 per liter. Ultra-low sulfur diesel is down by $2.45 and will be sold for $150.63 per liter. Kerosene saw a price drop of $1.88 and will be sold for $112.10 per liter. Propane liquid petroleum had a price increase by 8 cents and will be sold for $72 per liter. Butane liquid petroleum will be sold for $78.55 per liter, following a decrease of $2.02. Be on the lookout for price changes as marketing companies and retailers add their markup to these prices. In Wednesday's trading session, the JSE combined index advanced by 98 points to close at over 400,000 units. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 91 stocks, of which 29 advanced, 38 declined, and 24 traded firm. The junior market index declined by 20 points to close at over 3,000 units. Stocks advanced for 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited, Barita Investments Limited, and Berger Paints Jamaica Limited. Stocks declined for 1834 Investments Limited, AMG Packaging and Paper Company Limited, and Blue Power Group Limited. Trading firm were 138 Student Living Variable Preference, Siboney Group Limited, and Consolidated Bakeries Jamaica Limited. Wigton Wind Farm Limited ordinary shares was the volume leader with over 2.7 million units, followed by Lumber Depot Limited with over 1.6 million units and Jamaican Teas Limited with under 800,000 units. In foreign exchange trading for Wednesday, September 15, the US dollar sold for an average $149.28. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $118.69. The pound sterling traded for $206.91 and the euro sold for an average $178.42. In market data for oil, prices held above $75 a barrel on Thursday, within sight of a multi-week high hit a day earlier, supported by a big drop in U.S. crude inventories and surging European natural gas prices. Brent crude futures were down 45 cents at $75.31 a barrel. West Texas Intermediate crude futures slipped 18 cents to $72.43 a barrel.
In sports, we put the focus on athletics.
Olympic champion Elaine Thompson-Herah, the fastest woman alive and the second fastest in history over the 100 and 200 meters, arrived home to Jamaica on Wednesday, September 15. She was greeted by Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport Olivia Grange and State Minister in the Ministry Orlando Terrelong.
We will not be able to do the usual big splash that we would want to, but we will still have an event that will say to Jamaica and the world and to them that we appreciate them and that we love them. Elaine, it was our honor to bestow on you the Order of Distinction in the Commander class. It was our honor to ensure that you now carry a diplomatic red passport. So no longer will we be carrying a green passport which says you have an official passport. You will now have a diplomatic passport. And wherever you go in the world, you will be treated appropriately.
Thank you.
What is just so wonderful about your achievement is the fact that from humble beginnings, country girl, you have shown that you are made of great stuff. The journey has just begun because we know you're going to achieve that much more. And we're all going to travel that journey with you.
This job that we put ourselves in, we have never seen our body push to a limit where we have seen it before, and I think my little tiny body has pushed so much. It is so powerful, I didn't think I could have run 10.5. But I know I worked hard, even though I had challenges with this Achilles injury for over 5 years now. But nevertheless, it still never stops me. And I think I accept all my losses, and I did not dwell on them. I move on, and I think I made peace with all those losses. And I think that helps me to be the person that's sitting here today. I did not stop. I still continue to work hard, because no athletes ever go to a championship to lose or to come last, I should say. But I mean, everything that happened in my life, I think it was happened for a reason, even though I have not medaled since the last Olympic. But I think it was a long wait, and I think I had gotten enough, more than enough, to show that it was a long wait. And I'm really excited and happy at the same time, not knowing that I had a record in my head this year to break the world record. It is 10:49. It's super fast. And I ran I ran multiple 10.7s, and I never think I would actually run 10.6. And I did that so comfortable, so easy. And I said, okay, once I hit 10.6, it's much easier to go 10.5. So once you run each time, you put your body in a confident mood, like, yes, I can do it. And this season, with my challenges and my injuries, I actually have my phone with all my notes. After I leave here in Jamaica, I went to Italy. Every training session that I had, I written down all my affirmation that I want to achieve. And all of those were the 10.5, the 21.5. I'm a winner, I'm a double Olympic champion. Everything was written down, not knowing that I was going to achieve those that I've written down. So to tell you that everything that you put your mind and your body to, you can always do it. Nothing in life is impossible.
To our coach, our coaching team, and to MVP, you continue to show that you do great work, and you have certainly put our athletes at the center of Brand Jamaica. I must thank the president of the J3s as well, because your organization continue to make the brand shine.
And that's our package. You have just watched the news on PBCJ, the People's Station.